Hello there chaps and chapettes, welcome back. This is going to be my first concept that occurs in the plant world I'm going to be covering. It's called P.A.R, or photosynthetically active radiation. If you split those words up, it's very simple. Photosynthetically, photo meaning light, synthesize meaning making something using whatever the word prior was, so light. So photosynthetically basically means making something, glucose or plant food, from light. And what active radiation means is the specific radiation the plant can use to photosynthesize. Okay, so now I've got the name down to a T. Physically, what is P.A.R? So P.A.R is a range of wavelengths that the plant can actually use on a chart. So in order to understand that, we have to understand wavelength. Now that is completely different to light intensity. So if I show you here my little lux meter, it can be light can be measured in lux or foot candles. I prefer foot candles. So I've got a little bit of an atmospheric light reader here that I can just point directly up, and my lux reader is reading about 74 foot candles. So what that tells me is the amount of radiation, the intensity of radiation in the room. This is different to wavelength, because what wavelength is, to our naked eye, is what colour is produced, essentially. So how do we perceive wavelength, I hear you ask? So for example, this is the whole reason why this video was raised in the first place. I'm going to be switching from fluorescent to LED lights, and someone asked me, do you not need a UV light? And basically, UV is in the wavelength range, in the bracket, but it isn't all of it. It isn't all of the radiation that the plant needs on a scale. So just to put that into perspective, so the scale that we're using is 0 to 1 millimeters. And so we see the colour blue as 400 to about 500 nanometers, which is about 0.4 to 0.5 millimeters. Also makes it easier to read when we know that UV is 180 to 400, which is why we see the colour blue and associate that with UV, is because blue is 400 to 500 and UV is 180 to 400. So they sort of intercross right at the end. Then we go higher up the scale. So what we see is red is 620 to 750 nanometers. Infrared's range is 700 nanometers to 1 millimeter. So again, intercrossing. Because if you are in fact producing a directly blue or a directly red LED, then it is going to technically be classed in the ranges of UV and infrared. So why were there once massive warehouses full of red and blue LEDs, or individually red LEDs or blue LEDs? So we found that blue light, or UV light, promotes a plant's stem growth, and that means strength and foliage as well. But red, or infrared, encourages a plant to flower or fruit more efficiently. Or this is what warehouses used to do as well, is have them alternating, so red, blue, red, blue, red, blue, red, blue. Because then you have the best of both worlds. And the whole aim of this, the whole aim of splitting up the wavelengths and just outputting them, was based off the idea that a plant needs red and blue light to function more efficiently. And so when you're not outputting the wavelengths that are in between those two ranges, this bit here, then you're saving power and you're saving money, essentially. But even though on the graph, the bit in the middle is a bit of a no man's land, there's no proper photosynthetic activity going on, new evidence has supported the fact that there is. It's also worth noticing that these red and blue lights were very dizzying for the workers who had to work under the same conditions for hours at a time, and it made it so certain people reacted to it with headaches and migraines and nausea even. I know when I had some in my bedroom I felt a bit iffy, even if it was just in my peripheral vision. So now we know that those little tiny activity bumps in between the two red and blue wavelengths are actually important for certain photosynthetic activities. May not be related to major things, but they certainly still are important. So now warehouses and grow houses are all equipped with lights that have all wavelengths of P.A.R, going all the way from 400 to 700. We call that a full spectrum light. And the colour it gives off, you may ask? Well, just look up into the sky, directly into the sun, and you'll find out. Now, but all jokes aside, it's a bit weird that it's hiding in plain sight, that us humans tried to make it more efficient, yet made it less efficient. After learning that plants needed all wavelengths to do certain little niche processes, and the workers are no longer diagnosed with nausea, headaches and, you know, illness. So they went from having millions and millions of pounds of budget of these LEDs and stripping them all off and replacing them again with what they started with, full spectrum. I also made this mistake when I first bought a grow light for my propagator I had before the one that I had now. I had red and blue lights, so I felt just as bad as those workers. I didn't get the same crop. And really, although they are efficient in what they do, producing red and blue lights, they weren't efficient in what I was trying to do in propagation. So what do I have now? I have 2 fluorescent grow bars. I'm investing in some full spectrum LEDs because they run cool, they're efficient, so they produce more light and they save power, and also they're less harmful or easier to dispose of than fluorescent light bulbs. Not to mention, LEDs are rated up to 50,000 hours and fluorescent light bulbs are rated only up to 10,000. So thank you all very much for joining me on this quick little conceptual video. I'll no doubt explain some more key concepts in the future of this channel, but I found this idea to be one of the most interesting concepts. I hope this video has explained the key concept of P.A.R, old uses, new uses, and what I use. If you have any more questions about the topic, put it in the comments below and I'll be happy to answer them. Or if you need things explaining again, just let me know and like I say, I'll answer them in the comments. Thank you very much for watching, chaps and chapettes. See you in a bizzle.